Hey guys, this is Anne Marie coming at you as Bald Girl Will Travel. And today I'm going to tell you about 3 things you can do to save money when you're booking solo travel. So, who am I? I am Anne Marie, Bald Girl Will Travel. I'm an HR consultant by day and an avid solo traveler all the rest of the time. I like to encourage Black women over 40, and especially those of us over 50, to travel solo for self care and to get out there and see the world. If this is of interest to you, please subscribe, like, and comment on this video. I'm also the founder of the Fly 40 Plus Facebook community. If you're interested in joining a community of Black women over 40 who love to solo travel or aspire to do so, you can join us at the link in bio. Now, let's talk about 3 ways to save money when you solo travel. I decided to talk about this topic because I recently did a survey on YouTube and in my Facebook group where I asked people what they wanted me to talk about. And this was the #1 topic that people picked. So here's a video, and I also have a blog post with even more details. The link is in the description. 3 things that you can do right now to save money on solo travel. Now, the first thing to do is to let the price determine where you go. Now, a lot of people do this the other way. They decide they want to go somewhere, and then they want to go at a specific time, and then they pick the price based on that. You will almost always pay more money that way. What I do generally is I let the price determine where I'm going to go. So even though I may know that there's certain places I want to visit, I sign up and monitor those places, and I'm always looking out for anywhere that I haven't been. So if I see a cheap ticket, I will book a trip to a place either that I hadn't thought of going or somewhere that I thought of going, but not right now, if I see a great price show up. I monitor my trips to different places using Scott's Cheap Flights. I highly recommend Scott's Cheap Flights. I've talked about it a lot in my Facebook group. I'm an affiliate of Scott's. I actually decided to become an affiliate because I was using them so much to find inexpensive tickets. Scott's Cheap Flights will basically let you sign up, pick the airports that you're interested in flying out of, and then they will send you emails daily letting you know what sales there are to different parts of the world from the airports that you have listed. It's a really great way to find inexpensive tickets. Most recently, as I shared in my group, I found a ticket to Tobago for $250 round trip from Houston through Miami. I've never seen a ticket that low. Probably they've had them, but I wasn't using Scott's before. But as soon as I signed up, probably a couple months later, it came up. And so I booked. I wasn't necessarily planning to go to Tobago this past spring. But when I saw the ticket, I grabbed it. I ended up paying total about $320 because the flight rate that the lowest flight that they will quote you is usually the basic economy, and basic economy is a ticket where you can usually only bring a personal item, and you will have to pay for carry-on or anything else that doesn't fit under the seat in front of you. You can't put anything in an overhead bin. That doesn't work for me because, as you know, I am team carry-on. I do not check bags generally when I travel, but I always carry a carry-on bag and a personal bag. So I upgraded the ticket to economy so that I would be able to bring a carry-on, it would be included. But even at $320 round trip, that's a steal to go to Trinidad and Tobago at any time. Usually the tickets are anywhere from $600 to even in the thousands, depending on when you want to go. So that was a really great buy, and I highly recommend it. So that's the #1 thing that I do is I let the price determine where I go, and I'm able to do that by using services like Scott's Cheap Flights, which is probably the #1 service I use right now. I have a premium membership that I paid $49 for 1 year. I saved that $49 on the first ticket that I bought with them. Highly recommend it. I also use services like Hopper, Kayak, to also monitor flights. I use every service possible so that I'm always getting information about places that I can go. I also just started using Skyscanner. I haven't actually bought anything based on anything I found there yet, but I have also signed up for the free version of Skyscanner. Those are all different things that I use. What I generally do is I will find the ticket on Scott's Cheap Flights, and then I will book it directly through the airline. I generally do not book through third parties because I find that if there's any issue where you need to change the ticket or something comes up, it's a lot harder to get it changed or even get your money refunded or credited if you don't book directly through the airline. So if I find a sale, like for example with Scott's, it was $250 to Port of Spain, Trinidad on American Airlines. I then went directly to American Airlines. I also have a frequent flyer number with them, and I booked my flight directly through American Airlines. That is what I recommend. Every once in a while, I might not do that, but generally, I always will book directly through the airline to save me hassle if something goes wrong. So the number one thing, let the price determine where you go, be open-minded about where and when you travel, and then when you see an opportunity to go somewhere that you want to go, book the ticket. Second thing is book early. I know there are people who book last minute and get good deals, but that's really risky, especially for people who are like teachers and people like that who get off the summer and they want to book at a specific time of year. Book early. The earlier you book, the better rate you're going to get, no matter what service you use. So if there are places that you know you want to visit in 2023, you should be booking them right now. You should probably have booked most of them by now. For example, many of you know that I'm planning a trip to Africa in 2023. That has long been booked. I booked that probably in the spring. I finally finalized booking where the tickets there. And then I think I got the last ticket related to my trip a couple of weeks ago, and that is in winter 2023. I'm already now looking at what kinds of deals I see on Scott's and elsewhere to figure out what I want to do in the spring and even possibly fall and summer of 2023. I'm looking at that right now. I'm not going to be waiting till the start of 2023 to do that because usually you won't get as great deals as if you book now. So book early, track the rates. When you see them, grab them. If you're interested in Scott's, I'll leave a link in the description. So if you want to use my affiliate code, that you can do that to join Scott's and look for good rates, but definitely book early. I am not a person who's going to tell you to book at the last minute. It's quite possible that you may find deals at the last minute, but it's not as likely as if you book early. So one of the things that I do is book early. So that's tip number 2. Number 3 is that I use credit card points to save money on both hotel and travel accommodations. I only use credit cards that give me points and do not charge foreign transaction fees. If a credit card cannot be used outside of the United States without me being charged, I don't even have that credit card anymore. I've already gotten rid of it and replaced it with credit cards that will allow me to either get cash back or points towards future travel or something like that. Right now, my favorite credit cards are the Chase Sapphire and American Express Hilton Aspire. And I like both of those credit cards because I get benefits from them. For example, I found a ticket to Portugal one way that was about $323. This was last year. I found it on Scott's cheap flights. I then found the flight, figured out what airline was offering it. It was TAP Portugal. And then I went to Chase Sapphire to their portal. I had a lot of points. And so instead of paying cash for those points, I cashed out some of the points that I had from my Chase Sapphire to get the ticket that I had found on TAP Portugal for the $320. I did it in the equivalent of points. So on top of earning points for my Chase Sapphire, and I used Scott's to get the best flight rate, then I cashed out some points. So I didn't exactly use cash. Obviously, I've spent cash on my credit card in order to get those points, but that was a really nice way to go to Portugal, which was a place I had been wanting to go. I went there this past spring. I actually used a combination of finding a good rate on Scott's and then booking it using my points. And that's usually the only way that I will book a trip through a third party, is if I'm cashing out points on my credit card, and that I have to do directly through Chase. They have great customer service. So when I had to make a change on that flight, I had to make a small change on that flight. I didn't have any problems calling them and having it taken care of. So I definitely will only make changes or even buy a ticket if I'm using Chase or American Express to book the ticket and I'm cashing out points. Otherwise, I go directly to the airline. I won't use Kayak or Hopper to book a flight. I just think it's too risky. Scott's only sends you information about flights. They don't actually have you book the flight through them. They usually monitor Google Flights and other portals, and then they send you aggregation of the special flights rates that they have found, and then you get to book it through wherever you want to book it. So I use my credit card points, and I try to be really smart about how I use my credit card points, and I try to earn them in lots of different ways. I love Chase Sapphire because it gives you 5 times the points if you book your trip directly through them. And it also gives you 5 times points if you use Lyft, for example. You get 5 times the points based on what you spend. Same, you get 3 times if you use Uber. I use Uber a lot, especially in the US as well as in Mexico and in Europe. And I get points for all of the times that I use Uber. I have them charge it directly to my Chase Sapphire card so that I can cash in on those points. They also have really great benefits like if you lose your bags, if a problem happens where your flight gets canceled, you can call them and they will help you. They have a lot of great benefits. So I really like using my Chase Sapphire Preferred to book flights, to buy flights, as well as to use the points to cover the cost of future travel. So it's really a great thing to do. The only caveat I always say about all of these credit cards is you should pay your balance every month. So you shouldn't be spending money that you do not have. I don't recommend that. I automatically pay my balance every single month because I don't want to carry any debt. And the interest rates that they charge on these cards are quite high. They're usually between 20 and 25%. So you don't want to do that. So you only want to use it to book something that you had the money to pay for anyway, but you just charge it to the card so that you can get the points. They also give you 2-time points for restaurant meals. I meant to mention that, which is really great because if you're eating out on vacation, use that card, you get points for the meals that you purchase worldwide. So it's a really great card to have. And so if you're a person who travels frequently, as I do, it's kind of a no-brainer to get the Chase Sapphire. The other card that I recently got that I really, really like is the American Express Hilton Aspire. It's a really great card to have if you like to travel and if you use Hilton. I am a Hilton customer. I've been a Hilton Honors customer for several years. If I'm going to stay in a hotel, I usually stay in a Hilton if there's one in the country. Now, if you guys know me, you know I like to use short-term rentals, specifically Airbnb. But that's because usually when I'm traveling, I'm staying for multiple weeks. But if I'm staying somewhere for 5 nights at the most, so say, 2 to 5 nights max or 2 to 4 nights max, I will usually stay in a hotel. But if I'm staying longer than that, I will stay in an Airbnb because as I travel team carry-on, I like to have access to washing machine, dryer, be able to cook my own breakfast, save money on things like that. So if I'm traveling 7 days or more, up to 6 weeks is usually the max that I will be on travel, I'm going to be in a short-term rental, right? But if I'm staying in a hotel for a night or two, sometimes I have to transit through Cancun, and sometimes based on the flights, I may stay overnight and then fly out on the next morning. And I've done that in other countries as well. I'm staying in a Hilton more than likely. I'm already a platinum member. I get points on my stays. And now I get additional points when I use the American Hilton Aspire, as well as when I spend a certain amount of money. I think if you spend $4,500 in the first 90 days, you get something like 75,000 points or something like that. And so basically what I'm doing is their bills that I would pay every month anyway, I'm just charging them to my American Express so that in 90 days, I will have the requisite $4,500 in charges, and I will get my full 75,000 points in addition to the points that I've already earned just staying in Hilton's, and that I will earn staying in Hilton's on future stays. I'll be staying in a couple Hilton's while I'm traveling around Africa as well. So I get points and they don't charge foreign transaction fees. The card also allows me to use priority, what is the name of that service? I just used it the other day, and just like that, it's gone out of my brain. Priority Pass. So the American Express Hilton Aspire comes with Priority Pass. Priority Pass gives you access to airport lounges all around the world. I already had a Priority Pass, which I'm going to allow to expire. When it expires this year, I'm not going to renew it because now with my American Express, I don't need to pay for Priority Pass anymore because it comes as a benefit with the American Express card. So when I go into an airport and I want to access a lounge, I can just use any lounge that accepts Priority Pass. Most airports now have lounges that allow you to use your Priority Pass membership. So that's an additional really nice perk to have, is to be able to go into the lounges. They also have really great and generous policies around lost baggage, replacement of lost items. I have friends who've had American Express for years who've been telling me for years to get one. And, you know, if your bags get lost or you have any problems during your stay and you use your American Express card, they're extremely helpful. Their benefits are really, really great, and their customer service is excellent. So I thought about getting an American Express card for a while, but when I found out about this card, especially since I use the Hilton all the time, I decided to just go ahead and get it. And so far, I really like it. And I expect that I'll be using this card probably as much or equally as I use my Chase card in the future, so that I can earn points to stay at Hilton. Because, for example, I really want to stay at the Hilton in Cabo San Lucas. I've seen it. It's beautiful. It's quite pricey. So my plan is to cash out some of those points for a vacation to Cabo that I'm planning in the future. So I already have a lot of points with Hilton Honors now. And then on top of that will be the points that I will also earn with my American Express card. So I'm already planning for what I want to do with those points. The other thing is, the great thing about being a Hilton's Honor member that I really like is that I earn double points on my stay. So when I use the American Express card, I also then earn additional points and I get points for future stays. And they also have, as I said, trip insurance, trip cancellation, trip reimbursement, and Priority Pass. So it's a really good card to have. And so if you're thinking about an American Express, consider getting the Hilton Aspire. It's almost on the same level as having the American Express, the gold card. A lot of the benefits are the same. So it's something definitely to think about. I will put a link for the American Express Hilton Aspire, as well as a link for Chase Sapphire Preferred, so that if you're interested in looking at both of those cards, you can. So one other thing that I would talk about relevant to the third thing that I do, which is using credit card points to save money on accommodations, is lots of hotels have membership benefits. I know Hilton has Hilton Honors, Marriott has Bonvoy. If you're staying in hotels, and a lot of people, prefer hotels over Airbnb, definitely make it your business to join one of those or both of them. They're free to join usually. So join them and earn, benefits for staying at those hotels. It doesn't make sense for you to stay at a hotel and get nothing for it. If you don't belong to any of those membership plans and you don't want to join them, another thing to think about is using booking.com, because booking.com also gives you benefits if you consistently book with them. If I'm not staying at a Hilton, I usually will book a smaller boutique hotel through booking.com. One of the reasons that I like booking.com is that not only do they give me certain credits and discounts because I've used them so often, but also they usually will give you options where they have very generous cancellation policies where you don't have to prepay any part of your stay. When you're booking, you pay either at arrival at the hotel. I only book hotels usually where I don't prepay anything. And also, I don't, they have a generous cancellation policy so that I have up until the week when I'm supposed to arrive, I can still cancel the booking. With things being as crazy as they are right now, we're at the tail end of COVID, hotels, airports are crazy. Airlines are airlines are canceling people's flights left and right. If you're reading the paper, I really try to make sure that I book at places that are going to give me a generous cancellation policy. Hilton also gives me pretty generous cancellation policy with the membership that I have. I also only book rooms that allow me to cancel up to 3 days, and in some cases 24 hours with Hilton. So I'll usually take a rate that might be a little bit higher than the lowest rate, just so that I know that if I need to, I can cancel. So that's something that you also want to think about, because even though you might get offered a really cheap rate for a hotel, if you can't cancel, then you're stuck if something unexpected goes by, and then you don't have a credit card that can give you any help, and you haven't gotten travel insurance, which you all know how I feel about travel insurance. Get travel insurance. Anytime you're traveling, you should have travel insurance, or have a credit card that will reimburse you for cancellations, help you find somewhere to stay if there's a problem. I will also say one other thing about booking.com, which is recently I had a very bad experience at a hotel, which I will be talking about in a future video. And they were very helpful. They've been very helpful so far in getting the situation resolved. We're still in the process of getting it resolved, but they have been very responsive when the hotel itself was not. So I found that to be good as well. In a lot of cases, when you book through these third parties, they're not necessarily very helpful. But in this case, it was a smaller boutique hotel. I booked it through Booking. There were some problems, and Booking has been very, very helpful in getting the situation resolved on my behalf. So that's one other thing I will say about booking.com. So anyway, to recap, the 3 things that I recommend that you do to save money when you are planning solo trips is let the price determine where you go rather than the destination. So be flexible about where you want to go and when you want to go. If you're willing to be flexible about where and when, you can find really great deals and to lots and lots of places. Right now, Scott is dropping deals every single day all over the world. I've seen great rates to Sweden, to Stockholm, Sweden. Last week, they were showing pretty good rates to Greece. A lot of these rates are going to be for travel in the fall. Another thing that I do is I generally do not travel to certain places in the summer months. I like to travel in the winter and the spring and in the fall, right? I find that the weather is more to my liking at that time of year, and the cost of travel is a lot more affordable. So that's another thing that you should think about is let the price determine where you go, and think about the time of year. Does it have to be summer? I know everybody wants to travel in the summer, but that's when you're going to pay the highest tickets unless you booked really, really early to travel, especially to Europe. You're going to pay high premium prices to travel in Europe. So I always say, if you're flexible and you're willing to let the price determine where and when you go somewhere, you can go to wonderful places and go very inexpensively. So let the price determine where you go and when you go. That's the first thing. The second thing is book early. Don't wait till the last minute. When you see a good deal, book that sucker. Don't come back and say, well, maybe you'll be here next week. A lot of times when you see these deals, they're only there for a couple of days or a couple of hours even sometimes. So when you see a great deal, if you have the money, book it, right? The third thing is, if you're going to be booking, use a credit card that will give you points so that you're earning points as you spend, you're earning points for future travel. I really think it doesn't make sense if you're a person who travels frequently to not have a credit card that gives you points and does not charge foreign transaction fees. Foreign transaction fees are for the birds. Just don't do it. Do not use credit cards. They're going to be charging you every time you use the credit card while you're traveling. So consider the Chase Sapphire Preferred, consider the American Express Hilton Aspire. Both of them are great cards that give you points, don't charge foreign transaction fees. They both have annual fees, but I feel like the annual fees are reasonable in consideration of what you get in exchange. So that to me is just a cost of getting, great trips and all the other benefits that come with them. So that's something to be aware of. You might also consider joining something like Hilton Honors, as I said, or Marriott, or other hotel chains that have benefits. Lots of them have membership plans where the more you book, you earn benefits. So I'm really big on not using anything that's not going to pay me back in some way. So if you're going to have a credit card, it should be giving you points, cash back, something, and avoid foreign transaction fees. Always look and see what they're going to give you before you sign on the dotted line, and make sure you're getting what you want back, so that you are benefiting in multiple ways from having the card. Otherwise, it doesn't really make sense. So those are the three things that I do to save money when I'm booking solo trips. I hope these tips have been helpful for you. As I said, I will leave links and information in the description, as well as I will leave a link to the blog post that I also wrote on this topic that's a little bit more detailed than this video. I hope you find it helpful. And if you enjoyed this content, please like, comment, subscribe, tell a friend. That's it for now. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye.